Coming up on this edition of Carolina Week, in the wake of UNC's athletics academic scandal, the university could face serious consequences.
UNC students come from many ethnic backgrounds, but some say things need to change. We're taking a closer look.
The United States is celebrating our men and women in uniform. Hear from one veteran who's sharing his incredible story. All that and more.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
It's been 3 weeks since the release of the Weinstein Report, and its findings are haunting the university. Good evening, I'm Kristen Ruffin.
And I'm Anissa Jabbar. The academic scandal is proving to have relentless ramifications, and it's looking more and more likely that our athletic accomplishments will be affected. Will current athletes be punished for past transgressions? I sat down with a nationally known advocate for student athletes and a student assistant coach here at Carolina. Here's their take.
If you can point to people on the athletic side and say, you should have known, because boy, it's really easy to say you should have known. Why shouldn't people on the academic side have known?
That's Jay Billis. If you've ever watched college basketball, you know him. Game analyst, former Duke basketball player. And from his point of view, the problems at Carolina stem from the academic side of the campus. I
have heard the NCAA president say this, that if a school offers it, you have to assume it's a good course. So why would any coach question it?
So what does it all mean? What's next? The university's pride, prestige, and power could all be at stake if banners come down, but Billis says that could be the least of UNC's worries moving forward.
By taking away wins, as they've done in prior cases, or maybe take a banner down or something like that, those things are certainly not pleasant, but they're not as potentially hurtful to a program or a university as forward-looking penalties like you're talking about, like scholarships, the loss of scholarships or postseason bans.
Senior Caleb Presley is a former football player and now student coach. He says change is necessary for the NCAA.
I think that NCAA will have to continue to evolve and adapt to the nature of college sport in order for it to be relevant and effective as its governing body.
By processing the Weinstein Report, the organization may try to establish credibility.
The NCAA's lost a lot of credibility over the last 5 years. And maybe they use this case to try to reestablish some of that credibility because they're always talking about academic integrity.
Billis says it might take a year before we find out what sorts of penalties UNC is facing. One by one, former players continue to come out to talk about the sham classes they took. The latest, former defensive tackle Tydreek Powell.
Well, Bush Davis came into a meeting one day, man, and he said, if y'all came here for education, you should have went to Harvard. When somebody say that, man, if you came here for education, you should have went to Harvard. What do we supposed to do? That's our leader, man. It ain't that we go in there and be like, oh, we want to take African-American studies. How did we know about it? They put it on the table for us.
Mary Willingham doesn't have the TV presence she did a year ago, but Google her name and you'll get thousands of hits. Reporter Susanna Black is live in our satellite studio to bring us the latest about the university's famous or infamous whistleblower.
I spoke with Mary Willingham, who is now using the power of the web to fight literacy problems all across the country. Those same literacy problems that she brought to light at the beginning of the academic scandal. For Mary Willingham, it only took one student.
He couldn't read, and he had made it all the way to 9th grade without learning how to read.
She says that day, volunteering at a local high school drove her to become a reading specialist.
I decided that it was time to do something about it because it was completely unacceptable.
She worked at a prep school, the public school system, and then UNC as a reading specialist in the athletics department. That's when she began to notice something odd.
In particular, in the revenue sports, football and basketball, I noticed that there was a breakdown in their real developmental learning with regards to literacy somewhere around middle school.
According to the National Association of Educational Progress, 90% of black males and 65% of white males are not proficient readers by the 8th grade.
I think I would use the word disaster. Like a Red Cross disaster.
So she's launching PC Read, an online interactive reading program aimed at young student athletes.
We're going to go back and target 6th graders and maybe even 5th graders to think about it in the way they think about athletics, that it's a skill And it's like you need to drill, just like you need to learn to shoot free throws or you need to kick a goal.
And it won't cost anything for any student. She's using crowdfunding website Indiegogo to raise funds to cover all costs.
That's why we're raising funds to offer this reading program free.
She says it makes sense to her how this problem is happening.
That's when athletes, when they're getting really good, they start playing multiple sports on multiple teams, they start traveling. So academics and education becomes second.
Now, Willingham does still have her detractors. The guy that took over her former position, Bradley Bethel, says she is in no way qualified to run this type of program. Others think the university owe her an apology. Kristen?
That was Susanna Black live in our satellite studio. Thanks.
You might be wondering why flimsy fences and orange caution signs are preventing you from getting to class on time. And what are those giant holes ruining your view of the quad? The university is currently removing asbestos from the steam tunnels that run under campus. Asbestos has been present in these tunnels since the early 1940s. There will also be vents added to the tunnels, as well as improvements to the supporting structure for underground pipes. The project isn't cheap. It could cost up to $5 million and take a year to complete.
A third of UNC students identify themselves as people of color, and the number of Hispanic students on campus has been increasing steadily. But some say the University of the People has room to improve. Kendall Atkins has the story.
The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill prides itself when it comes to diversity.
Our campus in general is more diverse than it's ever been.
That's Ashley Memory, Senior Assistant Director of Admissions. She says the UNC Admissions Office recruits Hispanic and Latino students like these.
Hosting events for prospective students, letting them know how they would fit in at Carolina, and it's easy because we've got a great Carolina Hispanic Student Association that's doing things all the time.
The Carolina Hispanic Association, or CHISPA, tries to promote Hispanic cultures within UNC and the Chapel Hill community. Cecilia Polanco is a junior at Carolina. She's also the CHISPA president.
I've been heavily recruited by UNC as well. I definitely felt like it was a university that was interested in me and they wanted me to be here.
Of the 34% of UNC students identifying themselves as students of color, Hispanic and Latino students make up 7%. African American students make up 9%. All other ethnicities combined make up the final 18%.
Here you can see greater representation of students other than the traditional majority of Caucasian.
A greater representation due to the growing minority population in North Carolina. 22% of North Carolinians identify themselves as African American, 9% as Hispanic or Latino. So the percentage of Latinos on campus nearly matches the percentage in the general population. In Chapel Hill, I'm Kendall Atkins reporting.
Asian and Asian American students are the fastest growing minority group on campus, increasing by 2% in the past year.
There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Those are the words of Maya Angelou. And on Sunday, residents gathered at the Carborough Arts Center to remember her. They recited their favorite poems and shared her novel-inspired artwork. Special guests like opera singer Martha Flowers, who was Angelou's 60-year confidant, and Mama Dip gave encouraging words for the audience to remember her by. The takeaway from the event was that although Angelou's been gone for a few months, her words are forever.
25 years ago, the crumbling of a 12-foot, 9-mile-long wall ushered in economic and academic innovation to an entire country. Professors, historians, and former students gathered at UNC's Alumni Center Sunday to watch historic video of the Berlin Wall's fall and held a conversation about its impact. The fall of the wall in 1989 marked not only the end of communism in Eastern Europe, but the unity of the Warsaw Pact-backed East Germany and the NATO-aligned West Germany. We'd like to think that UNC is a safe campus, but is that really the case?
And how do we stack up against other schools? That report coming up.
Be sure to check out Carolina Week online at carolinaweek.org. Connect with us online by liking the Carolina Week Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Carolina Week UNC.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
How safe is the UNC campus? That's a question our Elizabeth Tew is looking into. She joins us live from the Quad.
The Department of Public Safety released its annual report for the number of crimes reported on campus for 2012 to 2013. And we compared our crime statistics with those of similar college campuses. And the results, well, they just might surprise you. You may consider UNC's campus to be safe, but crime on campus is leaving some students wondering.
In this part of campus, yes, I feel safe. But I live in Old East, which is by Franklin Street, and I don't feel safe on Franklin Street.
Mostly concerned about drunk guys late at night, that kind of a situation.
Larceny, vandalism, and liquor violations are the crimes that show up the most often in the annual safety report released by UNC. 9 burglaries were reported in residence halls so far this year, like the 2 that happened in Airing House at the beginning of the school year. So is the campus safe? Department of Public Safety spokesperson Randy Young says not quite.
I think the question is, can it be made safer? And I think it can always be made safer, and that's what we're striving for.
We decided to compare our numbers from 2012 to 2013 with the University of Virginia, Ohio University, and Duke, good schools in smaller college towns. UVA has the highest number of reported rapes, followed by UNC, Ohio University, and Duke. As for the number of reported burglaries, UNC has the 3rd highest, below UVA and Duke, but above Ohio. Young says students can be a part of the answer to campus crime and crime in the community.
We're out to try to look at the goal of creating a safer community.
As for that safer community, the number of reported rapes for Chapel Hill was 12 last year. Now that's 2 less than those reported on UNC's campus. Security officials are hoping that number will decrease as they put more preventative measures in place. Anissa?
Elizabeth Tew, live on the main Quad. Thanks. And speaking of safety, Friday Night Lights isn't just about high school football anymore. The Carrboro Bicycle Coalition hosted Friday Night Lights, an event to promote bike safety and visibility. Volunteers handed out free bike lights and helped riders install them. Riders also competed in contests for best lit bike and best use of reflective material. Winners received $25 gift cards to stores in Carrboro. After the competition, riders joined together for a 3-mile bike ride through town.
Veterans ensure the country's freedoms 365 days a year. Tuesday was the one day we set aside to say a special thank you. Reporter Jordan Nash sat down with a veteran who left college to serve his country.
In the Navy, I was at Carolina for a year, and then I found out I was going to get drafted. So I joined the Navy, enlisted for 4 years, and that way I didn't end up going in the Army and ended up in Foxhole in Korea. I was on a troop transport ship, the General William Mitchell, most of the time, and in school at Treasure Island for 9 months. Going over on my very first trip, we went through 3 typhoons, and the third one nearly sunk the ship. We split open, and we had 2,500 troops on board going to Korea, and we just barely made it, and that was my first trip in the Navy. It was fun the whole time. After the Navy, I came home and went back to college. The veterans and all, they've given up, in many, many, many cases, they've given up their lives for the country, for our country, and the rest of them have taken time out and gone through hardships and all for the service, and frankly get not a great deal of reward from it. People that don't appreciate it, they ought to go somewhere where they find out that they don't have the freedoms and all that we have because of the service and the times.
These guys are such an inspiration. There are more than 20 million veterans who have served in the various branches of the military. And there was no shortage of Veterans Day recognition here on campus. UNC Memorial Hospital hosted an event on Veterans Day to commemorate people in the community who served or have served in the armed forces. Hospital faculty and the veterans' families also came out in support, as well as the UNC Air Force ROTC Color Guard. The keynote speaker was Dr. Richard Jadek, who served in Afghanistan, as well as being the most decorated physician in the Iraq War. The weather is changing. This furry critter knows what's coming, and he's getting ready for it.
Your weather outlook with Drew Day is next.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but things changed. Teaching didn't seem that cool anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Amazing things are happening in teaching, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft. To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
And welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Drew Day. Thanks for staying with us. We have plenty of sunshine across the state today. We had a frontal system pass through earlier this morning, and that frontal system is now lining up just offshore. We still have a massive cloud cover off to our west, and notice that there's a little bit of a southwesterly component to that. So the clouds are coming up from the southwest like this, so we do expect some clouds to overspread the area later on this evening, and so we'll be expecting some clouds as you're waking up tomorrow morning as well. Now, right now, the current analysis shows that we do have that cold front hanging around offshore, perhaps a little bit of rain in the mountains, but the big weather maker that we'll be watching here for the coming days is this area of high pressure. It will be moving eastward throughout the next several days, and it will be driving down colder air from Canada into North Carolina throughout the next several days. So while we had 76 for a high this afternoon, for the weekend, expect highs only in the 40s. But by 8 p.m. this evening, that cold front continues to remain offshore as you're waking up tomorrow morning, and then by 1 o'clock, temperatures will be in the lower 50s across the state with a small chance of a sprinkle as we head into the afternoon and into the evening. But any showers that we do see will be very light and scattered. So I don't think it would be worth carrying a rain jacket or umbrella with you tomorrow afternoon, because it's certainly not going to be a big issue for us. Maybe some snow in the mountains. Around here locally, we're expecting no more than 1/10 of an inch. These are very light amounts that we're expecting across the area tomorrow. By Friday morning, rather, that high pressure system has continued to move eastward. It is continuing to drive cold air right down into North Carolina. It's producing snow in parts of New England and even in our mountains. But around here, we're not expecting any frozen precipitation, just some light showers and some cold air. Now, taking a look at the temperatures here for the coming days, you can see that the cold moves into North Carolina throughout the day tomorrow, but still a little green, so we expect temperatures to be in the 50s. But then after that, the cold air continues to move into North Carolina, and the blues stay over us. They don't leave, so we expect to remain in the cold for quite some time. We certainly don't have any rainy 70s in the forecast in the foreseeable future, so be prepared for that. 46 overnight tonight with increasing clouds, as I mentioned, coming in from the southwest later on this evening. Tomorrow morning, as you're waking up, temperatures will be in the 40s. 51 will be the high tomorrow afternoon. Winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's a little breezy. And again, that slight chance of a sprinkle. At 8 a.m., temperatures will be in the mid 40s and only warming up to 51. So don't wake up and think that while it's 46, we could easily warm into the 60s, because tomorrow that will not be the case. 51 will be our high in the afternoon, and then colder still at 8 p.m. with temperatures in the 40s. The 5-day forecast now, temperatures will remain in the lower 40s with sunshine on Friday and 45, 46 on Saturday, and then it looks like we'll have another round of rain moving in for Sunday and Monday. But like tomorrow, we expect that would be very light amounts, and we're really not enthusiastic about that at all. The big story here is just going to be the cold weather.
Yes, I'm just glad we're not dealing with any of the stuff that they have up north. That snow, oh.
Yes, we are not dealing with snow around here, just the cold weather, so be prepared for that tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be drastically different than today.
Great. Thank you, Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
You're welcome.
This Saturday is the beginning of the last quarter of the football season. Will UNC be one step closer to bowl eligibility?
Elena Albrecht is next with sports.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic. That means many of the future doctors who will care for us, the engineers who will build our cities, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why we want you to know you are not alone. And every day more people support you to make it happen. Many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. HSF.net.
You guys going to my party on Friday?
Yeah, dude. It's gonna be crazy.
All right.
What's up, dude? I'm loving your jacket.
Don't be such a fag.
If you don't mean it, why say it? Words hurt. Think before you speak.
Welcome back. I'm Elena Albrecht with sports. Carolina football is back in action after having a week off. No doubt these next 3 games will define the season. The Heels have to win 2 out of 3 to be bowl eligible, and it all starts with Pitt on Saturday. This could be a time for the Carolina offense to take over, as the Panthers have given up 107 points in their past 2 games. Look for quarterback Marquise Williams to get back in the swing of things after a poor performance against Miami. As for the defense, it will be all about containing Pitt running back James Conner. He averages almost 150 yards a game on the ground. Stop Conner, stop Pitt. The women's basketball team beat Wingate University 92-50 in Monday night's exhibition game. Carolina's pressure on defense held Wingate to just 30% from the field and forced 26 turnovers. Sophomore Alicia Gray had 14 points on the night, including this nice putback off the missed shot. Standout freshman Jamie Cherry sped up the team's offense, scoring 12 points off the bench. Throw in sophomore Stephanie Mavunga's presence in the paint. She had 14 points on the night, and Carolina had an all-around solid performance. The regular season starts on Friday against Howard in Carmichael. Injuries can be devastating, especially during the last season of an athlete's career. The captain of Carolina's women's soccer team told me about the impact of her injury.
Senior midfielder and team captain Brooke Elby went from saving games
It's cleared off the line!
to standing on the sidelines.
I think the minute I got hit, I knew.
It happened 7 minutes in against NC State.
So I stuck my leg out to keep her from just like shooting the ball out towards our defense. But the way my foot was extended, the way I planted, and the way she hit me just all combined for a fun little popping noise that kind of sticks in my mind still.
That sound was her ACL tearing.
It was a season-ending injury, and I just think from there, my heart broke.
She missed the redshirt cutoff by 2 games, but gained something from her lost season.
Like, I guess I would never know the impact I made until I was injured.
Head coach Anson Dorrance says Elby set the tone for this season.
I attribute a lot of that to Brooke Elby, to the standard that she set before she got hurt, to the leadership she still demonstrates with her teammates, and I'm incredibly proud of her.
On senior night, it was Elby who started the match. She surprised her team and finished her career on the field despite the injury. Fellow senior Sitara Murray has dedicated the season to Elby.
I want to win a national championship for my best friend. That's all I want to do. I personally think she deserves to go out as a winner this year.
Regardless of the season's outcome, Elby feels like she's already won.
Obviously, it didn't go the way I planned, but it's probably been one of the most fun years that I've been here, and I wouldn't trade, I guess, my injury for anything.
I am so excited to get to the game this Saturday.
Definitely going this weekend. Can't wait.
Thanks, Alana.
What's all the buzz about in Carrboro?
The impact these little guys have on all of our lives. That story is next.
bike helmet taught me never to run with scissors.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always. Lock it up.
Staring contest.
You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Bee City USA is a national organization that wants cities to recognize the contribution bees make to our world. Asheville was the first bee city, Talent, Oregon the second, and I found out Carrboro is now the third to join the hive.
It's a familiar sound to most of us.
Did you hear that?
That's the buzzing of honeybees.
They can be, 15,000 in a hive. It could be up to 70,000.
Enough to make most of us nervous, but not beekeeper Marty Hanks. He wants people to get close, smell the honey, listen to their vibrant conversations, and appreciate the work pollinators do for us.
There's just thousands and thousands of pollinators that we need to pollinate not only our food, but also the flowers that we enjoy to see, also the air that we breathe.
But believe it or not, the bee population is dwindling.
Are honeybees going to still be here in 20 years? I don't know.
And that's why Hanks and Orange County beekeepers asked the Carrboro Board of Aldermen to designate the town as a bee city.
These are bulbs.
Now Carrboro is one of 3 towns in the country designated as a bee city.
It would not have been brought to our attention had it not been for the care and the interest on the part of local beekeepers.
With help from Hanks and other local beekeepers, the board hopes to educate people and ask for help caring for pollinator gardens in town like this one.
We'll engage volunteers, and the more volunteers you have, the more word of mouth spreads about the importance of pollination.
If word of mouth has a ripple effect, Hanks is the pebble in the water.
Stop spraying, have healthier food, and then we can also shop for food that's healthier or grown healthier, because that's going to make a healthier environment for the bees.
Just stop by his home on the Orange County countryside. He'll teach you all about the bees' needs.
If you want to buy local honey or learn more about the business of bees, you can visit Hanks and other local beekeepers at the Carrboro Farmers Market every Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 6 and Saturday morning from 9 until noon. I actually have a bee infestation in my house right now, and that has actually made me more comfortable.
Probably it inspired the story.
Yeah, we're a little friendly now.
Yeah, I've actually never gotten stung by a bee.
Really? Well, I haven't either, and I'm hoping it stays that way with the current situation in my apartment.
Definitely.
That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Have a good night.